What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Wednesday, October 18th of 2023 for episode 95? We've made it to 95. We are almost at 2 years of episodes. I don't know if it's actually 2 years because we've taken some time off, but 2 years of episodes. But I have to start this off. David, I have to ask you a question. Are you okay?
No, I guess.
No?
I'm not okay.
Were you caught in the deadly insurrection today? The second time that democracy almost died?
I was making a My Chemical Romance reference right there, but I didn't realize where you were going with it.
I just want to make sure you're safe from the deadly insurrection, the Hamas-surrection, some are calling it.
Hamas-surrection.
018, 1018, whatever you want to call it. There was another deadly insurrection today, actually led by a congresswoman this time.
I did. I did see something about that. I just saw, I didn't really watch because I was like, oh, another damn protest from the left where they just go into Congress and no one cares. That's normal. It's happened before.
But they actually shut down the speaker vote. They shut down the Senate thing going on. It was the fun part is it was a bunch of American Jews calling for a ceasefire with Rashida Tlaib leading them.
Look, I don't know what to say, man. Whatever. Look. If everything was equal and there wasn't a bunch of people that didn't do anything on January 6th in jail still, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's a protest of people being really stupid. But instead it's the obvious double standard being shown, which doesn't matter if you point it out because that's not the purpose. You need to do something else other than just pointing it out.
We just got to make sure we check office buildings, tunnels away to make sure AOC is safe.
Yeah.
Because as long as AOC is safe, tunnels, buildings away, then we could be good here.
Well, did you see the video that she put out where there's a fart?
Yeah, I did see that. She just rips. Well, listen, I kind of respect it. I kind of respect it. You know what?
There's no way. Look,
I'm the HBIC. I could tear it and you're still going to wear it.
She 100% has people watch those videos before she puts them out and listens to them. There's no that was put in there on purpose. That's not her farting. That's a sound for marketing. 100. It's gotta be because I cannot see. And it's not just her. Basically, any congressperson is going to have people looking at their videos and just figuring and seeing.
Didn't Eric Swalwell fart on live TV?
That was live TV though. That's different. He can't really hide it there. This is a video she put out on Twitter. There's no way she actually
maybe she
farted
thought no one would notice or it wasn't that loud. And I love it. Put it under the UV and someone exaggerated the smoke behind her. I don't think that was real, but it was.
No, it was not real at all.
It could have been, but the internet's undefeated. I will give AOC some credit. She's one of the rare people that's on the left that didn't say the most dumbest shit about this stuff because she's been calling for a ceasefire. Right. But then when she was asked, she was like, I'm not calling for a ceasefire with just Israel. I want them both to stop. Hamas needs to be dealt with, but with precision and military intelligence. I'm actually cool with that.
It's better than what you get.
If she's saying hey, let's stop killing civilians, but fuck Hamas up, just go in and kill Hamas. That's the best you're going to get from both sides right now, because it's not destroy every Palestinian or from river to sea. Like
Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is ready to go to war with anyone.
Lindsey Graham is asking to just bomb Iran.
He's just going, yeah.
Lindsey Graham is such a dick. But you know what, though? Again, gotta respect it. He has his gay little voice, so he has to make sure that he sounds tough somehow. He it's I don't know, Lindsey Graham, man.
Such a out there response to it.
Just destroyed all of Israel because the Palestinians messed with the guy. Oh man, there's a lot going on. I guess the only justification that anyone could say about America truly getting involved, there's 30 Americans dead, and that's at the hands of Hamas. Mm-hmm. So if that's the justification, I could see people saying hey, we at least got to get some boots in there, get the rest of our hostages out, kill whoever in Hamas steps in our way of that, and then get back out, I'd actually be okay with that. Now, it wouldn't happen because we get in, Iran declares war, Russia joins in with them.
Exactly.
So, you know,
it would never
China,
work that way.
it would be World War III, and we know it. But at the same time, 30 Americans died, and we've done nothing. So there's also that. So it's like it's such a tough position, but I did want to make sure that you were okay from the Hamas direction. You are closer to that area. I don't know if anything trickled out to you.
No. Not in my area of town.
Okay, not in your area of town. Okay, so before we get going, like, share, follow, subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and iTunes. Now, everyone, that's important. If you're a new listener here, I want you guys to spread this word of mouth because, you know, we're going to have a fun episode as we always do. But also, go give us a 5-star rating.
Those have nothing to do
not a 3-star.
Israel and Gaza.
Not a 4-star. 5 stars is the only one I want to give. If you don't give us 5 stars, I will track you down.
The Booker T treatment.
The Booker T, or the can't
5-time WCW World
Did
Champion.
Fetterman get that from Booker T? 95. You didn't hear John Fetterman say
No,
oh my God.
hear that.
You haven't been listening to your Pac Ray. You need to apologize to
I
Keith
know. I do need to apologize
because
to Keith. I haven't been
they
listening.
play that all the time. When I-95 went down.
He might have gotten that from Booker T. Either that or he's just
His brain short-circuited.
Yeah.
100%. He was trying to talk in a committee meeting and he was like, and we're going to the 95. Like, he did not know where he was. And then he goes on freaking Colbert with 6 viewers and says they're not sending the best and brightest stuff.
Which is hilarious. You can't write comedy better than that. You can't write comedy better, dude.
I mean, listen, it's awesome. But anyway, so 5 stars is what I want you guys to give, please. Because that helps us shove up in the rankings so more people can notice us. Plus, it just feels good. All right, guys? Giving 5 stars, giving nice things feels good. Go find us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. And I want to talk last week. We had an awesome show. Unfortunately, there was a lot of connection issues, and I tried to make it sound as good as I could, but we had Pastor Darrell Scott on. He is a good friend of Donald Trump and senior advisor for the campaign. Also, we found out a comic book nerd. Yes. So we will be having Pastor Scott back on to talk about comic books because why the hell not? You know, he's talking about his collection, which is vast. But it was a great show. Go back, give it a listen. Like I said, there were some connection issues, but I made it good enough so you can hear, and you know, Pastor Scott's really good, very outspoken, and also extremely intelligent. If you're looking to get a more theocratic look at things, like biblical look at the world and at the things going on, he's a scholar in that sense. He's a pastor. He talks about it. He has his own church. So it's a fantastic show. So go jump back there. And Dave, before we get started this week, I do want to say, please support your creators on the right. If you're listening to this right now, I've been reading through the one that you got me, J. David, Drunk 3PO's kids book, Achromatic Chronicles Blue. Dave, I'm a little bit over a third through of it right now because I'm reading it first before I read it to my daughters.
Yeah, it's like 90-something pages, right?
It's long, but it's really, really good. Now, I don't know if it's, my daughters are 5 and 3, so I don't know if it's good for their age group yet.
Yeah.
But if you have like a tween, like a preteen, a tween, like something like that, this is great. It's a very wholesome story. Teaching, basically synopsis. A kid is caught in a black, white, and gray world. Everything is supposed to be the same, and he desires to be different. He desires to change, and then he gets a gift, basically, and it's about him trying to go through and convince the world to change. So it's a great story. Also, please go support our friends like George Alexopoulos, G Prime, Goofberry Pie is fantastic for kids. And go look out for the Epic Verse. Epic Mike put out a tweet today saying, directed his ass off. And we're excited for those things. So please, Rippaverse, ISOM, things like that. Go support the creators on the right because we need to win the culture war. We need to start doing those types of things. And that's really important. So we have no guests this week, obviously. Did a nice long intro. And usually I wouldn't do that because I'd want to get to somebody else besides me. But this week, you guys are all fucked. You're stuck with David and I. Oh, big shout out. Jeffrey the Fly U getting his 3rd win in TKO fashion in the 2nd round. The pressure that man puts on, the outclassing. He's a boxer, obviously, by the way, not MMA, but boxing. So he's the next big thing. He's coming up. What was he at, super bantamweight in this one? Or super flyweight?
Oh, I want to say Super Bantam, but
It was
don't
Super
quote me on
Bantam.
it.
I think he was Super Bantam at this match, but he's 3-0.
129.
I don't think he hasn't gone to decision yet. We had 2 knockouts and a TKO. I don't think he's had one go to decision. So he's on the up and rise, 3-0. Listen for that name. You're going to hear Jeffrey the Fly You everywhere. And if you're an anime manga fan, he always has something anime manga sponsored and inspired with his stuff. So he's awesome. One of our good buddies, one of David's best friends. So definitely giving him a shout out. Congrats to you. David, we need to have Jeff on the show, the official show, not your one-off show that you decided to never continue again.
Yes.
But we have to have him on. Maybe before his next fight, we'll have him on. I think that'll be a good idea. But let's jump into this show, because this show, we talked a little bit of politics. I don't want to talk about politics really anymore. We might get into it a little bit at the end. But I want to
You're not supposed to talk about politics.
No, but
I specifically structured this in a way to not talk about politics.
But David, I'm your older brother. I care about you. I had to make sure you were okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
And, you're closer in proximity to me and to Washington, D.C. than I am. And I didn't know if, the Hamas erection trickled out all the way to West Virginia. So I actually like that. I like Hamas erection. I think that's a good one.
It sounds weirdly sexual, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Do you know what? Pornhub, do your thing. Go make a Hamas erection, like Pirates of the Caribbean spoof type of thing.
I'm not going to go off into the fucking world that can go into. So let's continue.
Let's continue. Well, speaking of fucking worlds that are this is almost going into that world that we're talking about right now. Will Smith, I used to say he was half a man. Is he even? Does Will Smith exist on this plane right now, or is he just kind of a walking corpse of a human? Jada Pinkett Smith is a bad person. Full stop. She is terrible. So we all know Will Smith. So let's go back years now. On a podcast, which was viewed by millions, I think it was a live one, Jada tells Will that she's been fucking other dudes behind his back. Called it an entanglement. He gets destroyed there, right? Everyone in the rap community, everyone in every community is like, bro, how did you just sit there?
Well, he became a meme.
And it became a meme because the guy's crying. And again, this is Will Smith. This is the guy that's played some of the most iconic roles, some of the most manly roles.
Literally the biggest star for a good amount of time in late 90s? I might be wrong. But either way.
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I mean, going from his rapping career, which wasn't bad at all with Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, and then coupling that into the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which is one of the biggest sitcoms of all time, bar none.
Then being
Uncle Phil is everybody's dad, and everyone's uncle. It's like, and then going from that to movie stardom with Independence Day, with Bad Boys, if you've never seen Pursuit of Happiness and not fucking cried, or 12 Pounds, I think it's called, 12, something like that. There's another one, two of his like serious tearjerker movies. Man, Will Smith is, Enemy of the State, like all these movies that he was just so good in.
7 Pounds.
7 Pounds. I, Robot, another amazing one. I'm thinking 12 Rounds with John Cena, but but just all these iconic movies where Will Smith.
12.
I think it's 12 Rounds or something like that with John Cena.
We have to look that up.
Look that up. But it's sad to see someone who was so iconic and someone who I think everybody looked up to, right?
Right.
For a little bit of a way. Like, he was someone, if Will Smith was in a movie, you would try it. Like, After Earth was fucking terrible, but I guarantee people went to see it just because Will was in it, right?
Well, 100%.
He was a
draw.
It was like
the biggest draw.
Him, Tom Cruise, a few guys before The Rock kind of took over the action scene. They were the action stars. You would go see any movies they're in. And just to see him being dismantled there. Again, now we're going to fast forward to now 2 years ago, right? It's 2 years?
I can't remember exactly.
I think it's 2 years ago. It was during the vid.
A little bit ago.
It was during the vid when only the Hollywood actors didn't give a fuck and we were all supposed to stay inside and die. But Chris Rock makes a actually rather funny joke about Jada looking like G.I. Jane. And Will Smith initially laughs. Jada gives him the cuck look. And then he walks up, smacks the fuck out of Chris Rock. And everyone's like, there was two sides of the coin, a very small minority, like, you got to defend a woman. And then a very vocal minority, like, this bitch cheated on you.
Hold up. You have to mention that he yelled, "Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth" after that.
Yes.
You have to mention that because that matters in the recent fucking Jada Pinkett Smith stuff.
Yes. So let's fast forward now to about 2 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. Like
Yeah, a little, yeah.
3 days ago.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, this bitch is getting interviewed still. People are still wanting.
Oh, she had a book come out. I think it came out now.
Again,
it's coming out.
Who the fuck cares about Jada Pinkett Smith? She hasn't been anything good ever. Like, she's not that good of an actress. Let's really talk about this. She kind of sucks. Okay? She failed in a Shonda Rhimes medical TV show. And it was hers. And Shonda did it. The most successful, like, second most. I think ER is more successful than Grey's. Fuck you, Grey's Anatomy's fans. But Shonda, like, made that show. And then she's amazing. And then Jada stars in the next one, and it flops terribly because Jada Pinkett Smith is not a believable actress. But we get this interview. I don't even know who interviewed her. I don't care. But she tells them that they have been separated, not married, for at least 7 years. She didn't say 7 years. At least, I think was her exact word, 7 years. Could have been more. So Will Smith slaps the fuck out of Chris Rock for some bitch that lives in his house and fucks teenagers. And this is all about the Will Smith not being a man.
And she said that she was surprised. She didn't even expect the slap, and she was surprised that Will Smith used the word wife because they haven't been using it.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear the most recent thing that came in today, which I don't know if it's true? I saw it on Twitter, so could be a grain of salt, but it looked like it was a reputable.
Everything on Twitter is true. Don't be stupid.
But that Jada said that they created like a little sex room.
I did see something
where
about
basically
that.
Will can be cucked live.
I didn't read about it.
I didn't want to click on it.
Apparently, she made a secret sex room or something like that.
Secret sex room, but where Will and me could explore. Like, maybe Will was fucking too. I don't know. Maybe Will was bringing in honeys and doing his thing. It doesn't seem like it, considering Will just seems like he's.
Will could still be doing that. Yes. But the obvious body language. Listen, Will Smith's a good actor. I don't think he's that good of a fucking actor to do all of that. For what reason? Humiliate himself for what reason? So, and you look, and if you even look at another one of the past interviews where it's him, Jada, Willow, and I think Jada's mother. I don't remember, but it was like them at a fucking table, of course. And Will, like, he obviously loves her, wanted the whole wedding and everything like that. And in that conversation, like, Jada's fucking downplaying it. She never wanted the wedding and stuff like. So Will Smith, we're watching this man torn down in real time. It is actually incredible to witness. I love Will Smith.
I feel awful for him.
Grew up with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I grew up with all this stuff.
So you ready for the plot twist? Yeah. He's actually been waiting for James Cameron to call for the last 8 years. Jada and him are still madly in love, but he is method acting, trying to get into a role that James Cameron told him about. And this is tearing Jada apart to try and help her husband get into this role of the pathetic man.
That would be the most incredible twist possible, but for some reason I highly doubt it.
But the not doubted part is James Cameron might have told him 10 years ago, and the movie still hasn't been created.
That is true. Yeah, no, there's a good possibility of that. But there's just something about this that sticks with me, mainly because Will Smith was someone. I still like him, but it's a very different type of view of him now.
I can't go see a movie where he's acting tough anymore and take it seriously. Yes. Like, I cannot take that seriously. And it's like, so here's the question, Dave. You presented this. Number one, is it cheaper to keep Jada around instead of, because he did not have a prenup? That's one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Bezos this bitch. Get rid of her. Give her half. Prove you're a fucking dude again. Go make some great movies and make it all back and then some.
That's the thing, though. There's a reason why I posited that question. Because is it like, I don't think that's the reason. It's obviously thrown around. I don't think that's the reason. I think Will Smith legitimately loves this woman still. Still loves this woman. And through all of his fucking best interest to not have anything to do with her, he still has these feelings that he has to fucking be there. I don't think he enjoys it. I don't think he likes any of this, but he wants to be there.
Here's the other few scenarios. One, he's whooped her ass enough times to the point where she's telling him, I'm going to take everything you got if you don't fucking do what you're told. Or he killed somebody and she's blackmailing him. And she's telling him, listen, I'm going to let it all. There's something potentially criminal.
There could be that behind it, 100%.
That she's just holding over his head and she's wielding her power. And there could be something there. That could be it.
But what would be the point? Let's say she has that. What would be the point of holding that over his head and then destroying his career? What would be the point of that? Because wouldn't you make more money like helping his career than doing this? Wouldn't it be more in your interest to help yourself? Because I don't necessarily think this is helping herself, her image, or in any way.
So now let's also bring this into the picture. Dave, they're Scientologists. Both of them, right?
I forgot about that.
What if she's higher on the Scientology food chain? I forgot about that. And that's kind of where it is. That because she's a higher rank and he's a lower rank, and maybe he's not buying into it enough and not doing the faith enough, and this is punishment. You get treated like dog shit. You get humiliated because you are not dedicated to the faith enough. Because Scientology is crazy.
That is one I haven't heard at all. That's a good one to bring up. That actually has more of a potential than a lot of the other ones.
He might be getting punished by the church because he hasn't been a good Scientologist, and Jada maybe rose up in the ranks. And this I
just don't see him being lower on the rung of that than a lot of other people, mainly because he has superstar status. He's obviously able to.
If Tom says it, it gets done. And
that's what I'm saying.
When we listen to Leah Remini, when she did her getting away from Scientology, she flat out said, it's whatever Tom Cruise wants. Mm-hmm. If he pissed off Tom Cruise for some reason, and that's the thing, we don't know the ins and outs of Scientology. This could all be punishment from the church, and we don't know about. And I think that's the most plausible thing. If we're being quite honest, and this might be just
holy shit,
Jada just following orders because she's a good Scientologist, and Will has to fucking take it. He has no option. Or he gets killed because Scientology, apparently they kill you. And his kids are in.
That is a surprisingly good point. Not surprisingly because you brought it up, but surprisingly because like
no one's brought it up.
Yeah, exactly. Like I haven't heard that anywhere.
And if I disappear, then you know.
But that is a good point. I was mainly going off of like, is this some fucking weird
just jumped in my head
Greek tragedy of a fucking man where he just can't let go of something he should definitely let go of?
No, I honestly, that just popped in my head because I thought about it and I just quite literally looked it up right here. Will Smith Scientology, because I was thinking, I'm like, I think he is a Scientologist.
Yes.
And it popped up and I'm just like, they're both Scientologists. This would make sense if he's getting punished.
Well, shit, this went a completely different direction than I thought it would, and I like it.
Well, because that makes sense. Because, again, if you take... So, Leah Remini's only one. She interviewed people that were on there, and if you watched Leah Remini's Getting Away, if you haven't yet, you need to watch at least a few episodes, because it is super powerful. Now, do we have to believe Leah Remini? No, we don't. She could be lying out of her teeth. Mm-hmm. She could be quite literally. Scientology might not be that bad. It might just be a little kooky. We don't think the Mormons are evil. We just think they're weird for a lot of them, right? So it could just be a little kooky, and she might be spiteful. There's that. Now, she's not the only one that's talked about Scientology being extremely controlling, manipulative, potentially deadly, right? Mm-hmm. So you never know. She basically has called it a cult. If it's a cult, you go against a leader, doesn't matter your status in the world. So that's actually my thing I'm positing, is that Will Smith is being punished by the church.
Yeah, that's a good. I'm gonna let you keep that one. I'm gonna go with he's a Greek tragedy of a man, but I like that one a lot. I think that's one of the better theories, honestly, than any other theory of why the fuck this is happening and why he just allows it to happen. Wow, that's a fucking good one. Honestly, I have no more to say about this now. That's a great one.
I might have to figure out a way to get that out into the ether. And
holy shit.
That's actually the most. And, maybe I'll try and contact Leah and see if Leah can We'll see if I can find a way to figure out how to fucking contact Leah Remini and see if she can come on and maybe.
Yeah. And we'll ask her about the Kevin James meme for no reason too.
I mean, I think it's cool the fact that like after all that went down, Kevin James actually stood by her and she got on a show with him. Yeah. That goes to show Kevin James's character. I'm not gonna lie, I've never met Kevin James. I don't know anything about him. I think he's a fine actor. He's funny as hell. Mm-hmm. Good character, dude, to be able to do that for someone who was blackballed, right? Leah Remini.
And I mean, he went really far in life for being a mall cop. So I got to give it to him.
Did you see him and I forget who it was on the same wrestling team? It was somebody else, like a big time, like actual like wrestler, like fighter or something.
I was gonna say the whole purpose of that statement was gone because you forgot who the other person was. No, I didn't see that. And how would I if you don't even know who it was?
I'm gonna look it up. Shut up. But yeah, no, apparently he was a really good wrestler.
Well, I'm not surprised. He looks like a man who could throw his weight around.
Well, I mean, that's why Here Comes the Boom was like an easy movie. Oh, Mick Foley. Him and Mick Foley were on the same wrestling team.
That's hilarious.
And if you look up Mick Foley and Kevin James looks diesel. Kevin James looks diesel, and Mick Foley's like taller and like stringier, like a good size dude, but like Kevin James just looks massive.
Mm-hmm. Kevin James out here wrestling with dude love.
He was a state champion wrestler. The guy was a good wrestler, and that's why Here Comes the Boom. He was able to like do a lot of those things.
I've never watched that movie.
It was Dave. You're missing out. Here Comes the Boom. Anyone that has not seen it, it is a fantastic movie, Dave. Henry Winkler is incredible in that movie. Okay, you know the premise of the movie?
No.
So Kevin James is a teacher. He's good friends with Henry Winkler, who's like a music teacher, I think it is. The music department's going to get shut down unless they could raise money. So Kevin James used to be a good wrestler. So he decides to jump into MMA to make money. So he does these fights and he eventually rises up and gets to like a championship level to raise all the money to try and save this music program. And he comes out to Here Comes the Boom. And it's amazing.
Is there ever a time where Henry Winkler doesn't play a teacher anymore?
Is there ever a time where Henry Winkler has played the same character for 20 years and it's always been great?
I mean, yes, but
outside of Fonzie,
he's always a fucking teacher. Just this weird, eccentric teacher.
But he goes from being the Fonz, the coolest dude on TV, bar none, to just a extremely quirky and like vulnerable, weak human in every single role. Like
which fun fact about the Fonz and Happy Days and Henry Winkler? That's where Jumping the Shark came from. Because Fonz jumped the shark and Happy Days went much further than it should have. Fun fact on where that term came from.
I like that. So speaking of fun facts, Lord Miles Rutledge is not dead, everybody. So for those that don't know, we've had Lord Miles on the show. It was a fantastic episode.
Which we need to have him on again, mainly in celebration for the fact that he's actually okay.
I messaged Lloyd Miles. He's a busy man right now doing a bunch of interviews. So I expect, eventually he's a good dude. He always gets back. So I expect him eventually to get back, and he just likes talking. So he'll jump on here. He's awesome. But so Lloyd Miles, if anyone didn't listen to the episode, he just loves to travel to dangerous places. And the first soiree he had with the Taliban was back during COVID, when the only place he can go on holiday was Afghanistan. He told the story about how he got around that and how he got away from the Taliban and made some friends with the Taliban.
Listen to our episode with
Go listen to our episode. Yep. Go look up our Lord Miles Rutledge episode. And so then he goes back to Afghanistan because things, and this time he gets captured. And for the longest time, the Taliban, I guess the Taliban press thing was real because we all thought that was parrot. Mm-hmm. That was 100% real. And they were tweeting out things about, Miles is alive. He's being taken care of. He's hanging out with us. He's having a great time. He's not hurt at all. And about a month ago, I want to say a month or so ago, somebody started tweeting on Lord Miles' Twitter for him, basically saying like, he's going to be on his way back. We want to make him like the British ambassador to the Taliban. Like all these ridiculous, like it was wild.
Yeah. He's actually fine. He's just sitting around playing Team Fortress 2 and
exercising Team Fortress 2. Like they showed pictures that look like, Miles, and it was like, but are these old? Is he like, are they just trying to do the whole he's alive hostage thing, but he's really dead? And then there was hints that came out, right? Nuance Pro started saying he's alive.
That's the thing. Like Callum from Lotus Eaters
started saying and these are all his good friends. These are people that know.
Exactly. And when they said like, oh, we got proof he's actually alive, guys. That's when I started. I sent it to you and I was like, I don't see why they would lie.
No.
Unless they were somehow subterfuged in the fucking Twitter DMs, but I just don't see it happen.
Or in terms of Callum, where people were saying that Callum was somehow making money off of,
which is hilarious.
It was amazing. It was so funny. I was like, what do I gain from that? But so Miles went back, got captured by the Taliban. Apparently had a grand old time. I think I might have another like week or two to get him though, because he's going back. He said he's going back to Kabul in 3 weeks the moment he touched down. He had a burger and he was already done with Britain again.
Well, remember in our episode, he brought up that he has a business investment there with the gold mine or the gold, whatever kind of gold outpost.
Yeah.
And he wants to go and actually do that. So he has even more reason to go to Afghanistan other than just to see the people who he's actually friendly with there.
And the thing is, too, like they invited him back, too. Yeah. He said, I'll be back in 3 weeks. And they said, okay. And it seems like they're treating him well. It seems like they legitimately get along. So it's like, it's such a bizarre thing. And he says, too, he's like, the Taliban aren't a terrorist organization. He doesn't call them terrorists. He's like, no, he's like, they're just guys that want to live on their land and own things.
It is.
I don't necessarily agree with him on that one. I don't know the Taliban on his level.
We're not.
The Taliban does.
I haven't spent 8 months as a captive there, but I mean, with the way he was apparently living there, it wasn't really much of a captive. He just couldn't necessarily go much of anywhere.
He said there was a Taliban like guard that waited on his hands and feet the whole time. Like that there was someone like got whatever they needed. And like they weren't necessarily allowed to leave, but they could go outside. They could do things. Like they weren't like caught in a room only. Like they were allowed to go out. And he said it wasn't just him. It was the other 3 British guys that released with him. They were all hanging out and the Taliban would come in, play for Team Fortress with them. They would do things together. Like it's such a ridiculous story that only Lord Miles could do.
It actually sounds like there was some kind of clerical error with the 4 guys stuff. So they had bureaucracy. It just takes a while. It took 8 months for them to figure it out. Like that's what it sounds like happened.
Yeah. So it's like it's a miraculous story because like how many times do you hear things like that? And like this is a guy that when Ukraine and Russia broke out, he walked onto the front lines and started talking to soldiers on both sides. Like he's absolutely insane. He went to Snake Island. And he went in a suit of armor.
He went in a suit of armor.
He almost died. He had a really close call there. He is your typical British adventurer. And he's also a very Christian man. And the source of his thing is he goes with a pocket full of money, finds Christians that need it, and gives them money. Outside of just the adventure, he's trying to help Christians in the area. Now, is he going to go over to the Gaza next? Is he going to go over to the Israeli conflict? Because he might have a mission in Israel. Because there is a persecution of Christians in Israel by both the Jews and the Muslims that live in Israel.
So I mainly put that there because right after like it was put out that he was actually coming home to Britain.
I have him on Snapchat. His snaps are ridiculous. His stories are actually ridiculous.
I forgot who it was, but they posted just a fucking video after where it's like Miles coming out of Afghanistan, out of a Taliban prison just to see what's going on in Gaza. And it's a fucking little video of Junkrat going, I've got an idea. I gotta go there.
And like I think it was Lotus Eaters. They're like, oh, you think he's going to befriend Hamas? And he's like, no, they're a bunch of terrorists. He would never befriend terrorists.
But it is truly incredible what just unabashed, unflappable charisma and just belief in what he's able to do to have the faith that he could just go where he wants to go. And he could just connect with people and not die.
When he went to go and the Turks were blocking the thing and he's like, I'm not Greek. And they laughed and let him go through.
Yes, exactly.
Like, he does these types of things. And like, if you listen to a story on our episode, towards the end, when he was trying to escape from Afghanistan, he quite literally, the Afghans were pulling up, the Taliban was pulling up, and he's like, fucking shoot me. I don't care. I'm exhausted. And they laughed at him like he's a crazy Westerner. What is he doing? He just kept walking. Like he did not give a shit. So it's like there's something to respect about that. Now, again, we'll see where he goes next. He obviously wants to go back to Kabul. And he's going to, because that's no one stops Lord Miles.
Yep.
I wonder though if Rishi Sunak and Suella Braverman and over there, the British, government is smart enough to open up ties there, right? Because you have somebody who obviously connects with this group. You fucking morons in the West recognize them as a government. Why not? This is like not using Dennis Rodman in freaking North.
It's funny because they could want to do that. Miles might just say no. I don't like you. Why would I do that?
He was down for it. When they mentioned it, he seemed like he was down for it.
That is true.
Because he's like, I can communicate with the Taliban what and need to the Brits and vice versa. Like we could make something work here. And I think in reality, like Miles has a heart of gold. He's a good person. Mm-hmm. So if he feels that taking that position would be something that can actually benefit both the people that he likes in the Taliban and the Brits, I don't think he would hesitate to do it. Now, he doesn't trust the government because he knows the British government's absolutely fucked. And we'll see what happens because they're about to go left. They're about to go very left with Keir Starmer when they do the elections because the Conservatives, the Tories have been awful in Britain for fucking 20 years. So
shout out Lotus Eaters for keeping us up to date on British politics when we have no reason to be.
Listen to podcasts of Lotus Eaters, Sargon Vakalad, Carl Benjamin. Sorry.
Goodness.
I'm retarded. But Carl Benjamin started something great there. I do notice now they're going on in triples ever since
they have a new studio.
Carl left, they have a new studio, so they started to break rules and bring 3 people on, and then Carl came back and he has no power anymore. Seems like he's overruled on everything now. They have Lat Hour. I haven't listened to a Lat Hour yet. It seems amazing.
Oh, it's so funny.
They just ranked the British cities to the ones they hate the most. So Chester was easily the worst, the least
listen to the Who Would You Want to Be for 48 Hours one. That's fucking incredible. But so, sorry.
Couldn't recommend Lotus Eaters more. Great personalities there. A lot of if you want to know guys that do their research and know their shit, you will be educated. To me, my educational podcast, New Discourses and Lotus Eaters. And there's so much content on Lotus Eaters.
And that's the thing, though, is I will say this, the free Lotus Eaters, they have freemium stuff, but it's mainly the podcast. If you want some of their more real deep dives, you have to pay a little bit, but it's $5 a month if you want.
The things that Dan does with Brokenomics and Stelios, anything Stelios does is
Symposium. Yeah,
it's so good. It's really
it's
good.
An incredible platform to go and just listen and learn things. And the good thing is, and while we're talking about this, is they're going to have Miles on there very soon.
Yes. I think it's £5 a month, so it's like $7, Dave. You paid. It's like $7 or $8 from, so it's not that much. It really isn't that much. They're a great group of guys, so definitely go. Dave, do you think Miles is going to go to Gaza, or do you think he's going to do
he has business in Afghanistan. He has stuff he needs to do. I don't think it's the timing. I don't think he's actually going to end up wanting to go there because it probably just wouldn't benefit him necessarily, or wouldn't be a fun enough adventure. So I think he'll go to Afghanistan, and he has to do his media rounds because he wants to do. One, he wants to. Two, he has 8 months of bills backed up. So,
what would you do if we found out that the only reason the Taliban hasn't gotten involved in this is because of Lord Miles?
That'd be hilarious. And you know what? With the legend of the man, Israel. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, he's just convincing him, this isn't any good for you guys. Just stay neutral. Don't do anything. Just you're laying low right now. No one's bothering you. Just don't do anything. That would be incredible.
Yeah. No, like I said, I would not be surprised if that was
believable.
That was the actual reason. But no, days of celebration because Miles is not dead.
We are
Miles
happy that Lord Miles
perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. He's still Lord Miles.
Yes.
They haven't messed with his brain at all. He's still the same dude that he always was, and we can't wait to have him back on. So, when you're ready,
it's going to be great.
Jump back on.
Also, real quick, because he actually does need the money, he does have his book, Lord Miles in Afghanistan, which was about his first trip to Afghanistan. It's a short book. You could buy it off Amazon. You could buy it off a lot of places. So I would say go ahead and read that if you want to. It's a great time.
Yeah, it is a great time. I think on the first episode, I think I linked to it there. So you might be able to go into the show notes and go find it there. Probably the same link. So let's jump into our last topic, Dave. And this is actually going to be a good one because as we all know, I don't know if we complained about it on here or not, but Disney is releasing Snow White and the Seven Companions, which I don't even know why they named it Snow White. because Rachel Ziegler hates the character. They're not doing anything like the Snow White Grimtail at all. There are no dwarves except for one. There's one dwarf, and then everyone else is just a smorgasbord of diversity out of the 7 dwarves or companions. And I don't understand why they're making this, because it's not Snow White, right?
Yeah.
To answer that, Daily Wire, which is a right-leaning, massive, probably the biggest right-leaning independent platform. Fox News would be, I guess, it's Fox News isn't the right anymore. They're leftist. But anyway, so Daily Wire is like, Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, your people,
Michael Knowles,
Andrew Klavan. Those people are all there, and they create content. They have, their kids streaming platform is named Bentkey, and that is coming out. You can get that anywhere. Bentkey. You can go on any of your streaming services, go download it now, because if you do, you will be getting the movie Snow White and the Evil Witch coming out soon. It's starring one of their personalities, Brett Cooper, who was an actress before she became a political commentator. And Dave, Brett Cooper can sing. Did you watch the trailer?
I did not.
Oh, man. Number one, go look up Brett Cooper, because if you're thinking of Snow White, she is a fair-looking woman. Like, she has the complexion. She's a pretty girl, and she can sing.
Ever since I heard she looks like female Ben Shapiro, I can't get it out of my fucking head. I can't get it out of my every time I look at her now. It's like, yeah, I see it.
Now, is the thing, Brett Cooper is definitely feminine. Yeah. She's not like a manliest chick at all.
No.
But what does that say about Ben?
Nah.
It's not like you're going the other way. It's not like that's offensive to Brett because Brett looks manly. Because Brett is you will never mistake Brett Cooper for anything but a woman. So it's like, it's not saying that Ben is very feminine looking. What are you trying to say here, Dave?
I'm not trying to say anything necessarily. There's just a lot of similarities in the way they look. People pointed out, and it's obviously there.
I mean, people look like people. That's just that's a thing, okay?
That's true. But still.
But the fact that they're both on the same network and everything. And
yes.
Hey, listen, maybe Ben enjoys his female doppelganger being around him, okay?
But clone.
His clone is, you actually find out he just created her in the lab. Brett, my precious. But I don't know why he's Gollum.
Yeah,
but
really.
So, Dave, what do you think about this move? What do you think about them releasing Snow White basically alongside Snow White? Now, obviously, I don't know if this is meant to be in competition because it's a movie, right? It's a full-fledged film. Daily Wire's made films before, so it's not like they're novices. They make good high-level films. This is something they've been working on for probably well over a year. So I don't think it's necessarily a response to Snow White and the 7 Companions, but what do you think of it? What do you think about the timing right now?
I do think that they were probably looking forward and saying, well, Disney's remaking everything.
Yes.
Disney already probably had it on the docket.
Probably.
So I think they were interested in going alongside Disney and making this.
Okay.
And, they had Brett Cooper, so it's a lot easier for them than just finding someone else. So I think they actually were thinking of making this and putting it somewhat alongside the other Snow White. Now, like I said, I haven't watched the trailer, so...
It's a short one. It's only a minute long, and there's nothing crazy. She's like singing a little bit, and she's walking through the forest picking some apples, and she looks like Snow White.
Yes. And now the question is Daily Wire going to just keep this to what Snow White is? Maybe some slight different things to kind of differentiate it from other Snow White stories, or are they going to put any overt political messaging in it? I think they're smart enough to not do it.
I agree.
But you never know, especially because, you have Disney just blowing up their IPs.
Destroying their brand.
Exactly. So, yes, it would 100% annoy people that Daily Wire would put political messaging in it. But if they didn't put that much in it, people would still be more okay with that one than they would the Disney one. Now, like I said, I just don't think they're stupid enough to do that. I think they're just going to try to make it a decent movie, because if it's even decent in their iteration of Snow White, people are going to want to watch that more. Now, it's not going to be a mainstream movie because you have to go onto Daily Wire to watch it. It's not going to garner all the fans that it possibly could.
Well, you can go on to Benki, and Benki, I don't know if you have to pay for Benki.
Okay, I might be wrong.
Might not have to pay for it because it's a children's streaming service that they're starting.
Yep. But it starts to get difficult for Daily Wire here, though, in the fact that they are a political company and they miss out on mainstream people. Main reasoning being that people are going to be like, I don't want to watch anything necessarily associated with Daily Wire, or I don't want to be caught watching anything associated with Daily Wire. So obviously, it's something they would have to get over if they keep producing decent to good movies that just don't have messaging in them. But it's something that, I mean, this Snow White, it might be good, but it's probably not going to make as much as it could if it is a good movie.
No, and I agree with you. I don't think they're going to put in the overt messaging. Now, keep in mind, this is not Disney Snow White. They're doing the Grimm Snow White. So it is the Grimm fairy tale, which is often Disney took the Grimm fairy tales, a lot of them, and kind of bent them to make them more kid friendly, right? Added a lot more flowery things involved, like more like, so it's like original Disney kept a lot of it to the spirit of Grimm. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious how they're going to do this one, if they're going to keep it more to just the Grimm and less of trying to compete with the Disney story of it, right? So it could be because it's much more closer to what we saw with Snow White and the Huntsman. Yeah, is what the Grimm story mostly was. So I'm interested to see. Now, I mean, if you're picking Brett Cooper to do this role, it makes sense because she does have that fair complexion. But how many Snow Whites is this that we've seen? This is so many Snow White renditions that we've had. It's kind of ad nauseum. And I was listening to Timcast the other day, and they were saying, like, there are so many other stories, not just even Grimm. There's other stories from other cultures and things that you can bring in and make really good movies and make it original. Start doing originals. Don't do the things that Disney did. Take originals. And it's the reason why Disney for so long was capturing people, is because they were taking big stories from different cultures. Yeah. Moana was awesome because we saw a Polynesian story, the Hawaiian, those Islander stories brought to life. And then you could research like Maui the demigod. And then you could see it's like all there, and they were fairly accurate with Te Kā and things like that. And like Disney at their best did that stuff and brought in a lot of cultural things. And I think Daily Wire would be smart to start basically piggybacking off of that and doing essentially that, because they would always, a lot of these tales were in a way religious tales to their own religion. So you're still getting that base morality or a story or a lesson from them, which was the value of them. So I think Daily Wire, introduce with Snow White, do something that people know, and break out now.
And I think that also is proof of them reading what Disney was going to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Seeing what they could put out in comparison and saying, look, we can give you something that's not trying to pander, that's not trying to beat you over the head with something. And it could be, I don't know if they want to say just as good or better, they probably will, but it could at least be serviceable, because that's all they need to be, is serviceable. So, like I said before, I think they knew Snow White was going to come out. They said, let's do our own. We have someone who could play Snow White. Let's do our own and show that we could do things well in order to grab more people to come and actually watch stuff.
And I think what the value of this is, Dave, and I think we saw it with what the Blaze did with Nefarious, with what Angel Studios did with Sound of Freedom. There are a lot of people that are in Hollywood or used to be in Hollywood, and what we see even with Epicverse and Ripaverse, people were getting tired as a creator of being told what they're allowed to create and the lines they're allowed to stay in. And these outlets are giving creators, again, the ability to be creative, the ability to tell stories again without having to hit a quota of diversity. And I think that benefits your Daily Wires, because Daily Wire has millions of dollars to spend to put into these things. So they can hire former people from Hollywood, legitimate high-end people, to help produce, to help do all these things, to direct and all these things. And it's not just them trying to do it on their own. And not to get me wrong, listen, don't get me wrong. The Blaze did a great job with Nefarious, and Angel Studios has legitimate people in it doing things, because obviously Chosen is a absolutely sought after and a great show that people like and really enjoy. So, but I think Daily Wire has that benefit of, we're going to see Hollywood production value 100% with this movie. And it's going to compete. And I think we're going to see, I really do personally think they will eventually release it to theaters, and we're not just going to get a few hundred here, a few hundred there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a major release because it has the name. It has Snow White. And I think we could see a first, since the Passion of the Christ, basically, a first conservative, right-leaning group with a mainstream release. Because if the first trailer looks clean and good, and as they give more, I'll be excited to see it. But yeah, no, 100%. If they put this in the movies, I would gladly take my girls to go see this over Snow White and the LGBTQI plus companion followers.
No, I like the 7 Starbucks workers.
Is that who said that? That's amazing.
I can't remember. I want to say it was Krigler, but I might be wrong.
Oh my God.
I cannot remember. It might have been him, but
Starbucks workers.
I can't remember.
That's a pretty good one. Good job, Krigler. But yeah. So Dave, would you go see this movie if it came out on theaters?
Probably not, mainly because I just don't necessarily see a reason to go see a Snow White movie. I liked it when I was a kid, but it's not something I gravitated towards to the point where it's like I need to see one now that I'm older. No, I have no reason to really watch it, but I could point people to it if I hear it's good enough, especially from you.
You feel the need to support Daily Wire though in order to continue their endeavors? I get it; they have a ton of money, but it would be something that they would want to not, but they'd want to do what Sound of Freedom did and make $100 million off of 14. You know what I mean?
Well, I get that, but I don't feel the need to support something if I don't necessarily want to go do it. Like, I don't have a reason. I don't really want to go see a Snow White movie in the first place. And it's not like I'm doing reviews or anything. So I'm like, I hope they get the support, especially if it's good. But I have no reason to support them in this angle. They come out with another movie, then sure, whatever one I'm interested in, yeah, I will do that, but not for this one.
And I do have to say, kudos to Daily Wire. As much as I disagree with a lot of their commentators, right? Like Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, all them, like outside of maybe Clavin, I disagree with mostly all of them on a lot of things. But man, what they are doing in the cultural sphere, being willing to spend a ton of money in order to do these things. Now, I know we demonized them with the Crowder thing going on, whatever. That's obviously moved on. Everyone's moved on from that, and it is what it is. But overall, got to give them a round of applause for what they are doing and trying to break into culture and making just legitimately good stuff. And then making Dave, this Benke, their new cartoons. I think they have like 18 cartoons coming out or 12 cartoons, full seasons ready to go. Each new episode is Saturday morning. They're trying to bring back Saturday morning cartoons.
That's pretty cool. I like that. And I
love
like
it.
I like the idea of it. And it just has to come out. And like I said, it doesn't have to be great. It has to be serviceable. All it has to be is serviceable. It has to be good enough to where people will want to watch it and maybe talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's the number one thing that we're seeing hit Star Wars and hit a lot of things. It's not even the fact that people want to talk about it to say, wow, they fucked this up in this way. Obviously, people will. But it's the fact that people don't even care about it anymore. It's absolute apathy towards Star Wars. You ask, yeah, Marvel, it's getting there quickly, but it's not at the same level as Star Wars. Star Wars is bad. No one cares about Star Wars.
Star Wars is dead.
Which is incredible. Incredible for what Star Wars was and supposed to be. But that's a whole other topic. Yeah, the Daily Wire just needs to make sure they make stuff to keep people somewhat interested. Keep people talking a little bit about it. That's all you need.
And, as Daily Wire does things, we'll be here to give them shout outs when they do those types of things, because those are the type of things we need to do. The things like they're doing, like I mentioned, all the other creators. I mentioned Tim Cass. Tim Pool's always doing a ton of things with culture, trying to open up the coffee shop he's been trying to open up in West Virginia for like 19 years, it seems like this. But, going out to buy coffee, and all the conservatives that sell their coffee, it seems like every conservative, Dave, we need to make a coffee.
Everyone does.
Everyone does
coffee.
It.
I don't drink coffee.
Does it. The quartering does it. Like,
I don't care about coffee. Coffee is one of the things I care so damn little about, and everyone seems to drink it.
I've actually kicked coffee since I got my gallbladder removed.
Well, why would you kick it? You should just not drink it. I don't know. No kicking it has to do with anything. Are you mad at it?
Strong dislike radiating from this side to this side. But But yeah, no. But just what everyone's trying to do. Obviously, some people are trying to make a buck, right? Because you got to make money when you're doing this stuff. But there are some people attempting to affect culture, and that's big. And that's big because we can win in politics, even though we suck right now. But we can win in politics all we want. If people don't give a fuck about what your opinion is or about who you are, they're not going to follow you. They're not going to follow you. People follow Trump because he was a cultural phenomenon, more than anything. Yep. He was a cult of personality, cultural phenomenon, and it was us versus the world. Trump's a cool dude. Because Trump, I don't care what people say. Trump's cool. Trump's always been cool. That's kind of been his thing. When he's telling people you're fired, it was just cool to see. So, yeah, no, it's good. It's good what Daily Wire is doing. And on that note, we're going to stop doing our good right now. That was a hard end of the episode.
Do you classify this as good?
I mean, we came up with the theory about Will Smith that no one else did.
That is true. You came up with it. I'll give you all the kudos.
Hey, listen, it's the show, so you get to piggyback off me like you have your whole life.
Wow. That's harsh. That is harsh, man.
Except maybe in tennis. You've surpassed me. Very
much so, yes.
Very much. And now you can beat my ass in MMA. So, you know what? Actually, I take that back. Sorry, sir. Please don't hit me again, sir. It hurts, sir. Oh, man. All right. So on that note, Dave, do you have anything else to say before we get out of here?
Not really. I will say shout out Evan Crow. He's co-worker. Maybe I shouldn't have said his whole name. That's my bad. Edit out the first name or the second name, Alex.
I'm not going to.
But yeah, for listening. I'm happy to have anyone listening, honestly. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I had to Evan edit out his last name. I'll just leave his first because I just said it again. Yes. So I'll just leave his first. But yeah, thank you for all the listeners. We always appreciate you guys. Give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Go find us on the socials. We'll be back next week. I think we have a guest, maybe. If not, you'll have to hear our voices again. So we shall be back next week. Talk to everyone later. So long.